My name is Greg. Welcome back. I think I'm going to title this video, Is This Legal? Because I don't know the answer to that, but I may have got myself in trouble. Let me show you what I mean. When I say, is this even legal? What I mean is this. This should not be allowed. Look at how cute that face is. And I'm talking about this, not this. But these are Babydoll sheep. I bought them this past week, and this little ewe right here has 2 lambs. Now, they are just the cutest things, but Babydoll sheep are really known to be gentle and friendly and, maybe even a little compassionate to be around humans. And, I certainly don't blame anyone for trying to start a little homestead, starting a little farm. And hopefully the lady that I bought these from doesn't watch this video, but these are kind of wild Babydoll sheep. So thankfully I was in the process of building these pens, and I have a place to put them, because if I had them out in the field, they would be just about impossible to catch. So at the end of this video, I'll show you how I built these stalls and kind of the hurry and what I was trying to do to get these done. But this one here is particularly not very trusting of humans. So I'm going to be spending time with her. Now, right here's the ram, and he's a friendly little thing. I can go in there and do whatever, but you'll see when I step in here, this thing goes a little bit bonkers. So you see that right there? That's not typical behavior. Back up there, mama. And honestly, I think what happened was the lady that I bought these from, I think she was kind of scared of them. Now this one here had a lamb, had a single. It was a ewe lamb, and she lost the baby. It got real cold in Tennessee, and they wasn't expecting it that day, and they had her out in the field, and I think it was just too cold for that little lamb. So she didn't make it, but it looks like they're well taken care of. The wool on it is not overly grown, so it looks like they did get sheared last year. But, these sheep, they should just be friendly and not scared of humans. But when I bought them, they were in stalls. The 2 ewes were in a stall. The ram was in a stall by itself, and then that ewe over there with the 2 lambs. So the way we loaded it, we backed right up to their stalls, and we put them in the trailer. So I really didn't get a chance to see how they acted, but they're all right. I want to get these out into the field, but I got to get them a little more tame just in case I need to get them for some reason. So I'm going to leave them in here for a couple of weeks and just hand feed them and get them used to being around humans. And you see how scared she was just of beans coming in. Obviously I have Casper that'll be in the fields with the goats and the sheep. So I'm just going to come out a few minutes each day, and I'll bring Beans out here, let him get used to dogs. I'll bring Casper through here, let him get used to a bigger dog, and we'll kind of go from there. You're all right. Hopefully in a week or so, she'll lose some of her anxiety about people. Now the ram, we'll go in there with the ram in just a minute. Well, let's go in there now. I'll show you. This is how Babydoll sheep should be. I want to get better latches on here, but I went in to buy some, and they were ridiculously expensive. So here's our little ram. He's pretty good. In fact, I kind of feel comfortable just opening the door here. You see, he's not nearly as skittish as that ewe. So she has collard on all of these, and I don't think they need to be on there. I've put them on babies before, whether they're goats or whatever. When we get over and look at the lambs, I'll show you something. But he's a good boy. I got to get a better water dish in here for him. Get you a few more bites. Now we have this ewe here. She has not lambed yet. So she's kind of in between the lamb and the ram. She's certainly not as docile as she could be for being a baby doll. But you see, she's not nearly as skittish as that ewe over there that lost her lamb. So she's a pretty good girl. I'm not as familiar with sheep as I am goats, but I'm a little bit worried about pink eye with this one. Her eyes were watered up a little bit. So not only did I want to keep them in the stalls just to get them a little more friendly to human contact, but also it's always a good idea when you bring new animals in to keep them isolated from the others, just so there's not any illnesses or any ailments that they can pass on to your already established herd. So she's a good girl. Mama here, it's hard to say whether or not she's has a little bit of anxiety because she has the 2 lambs with her. She could be just a little protective of her babies, but check this out. They had these collars on them, which it's good to be able to identify them when they're young, but man, like they had, as fast as babies grow, they had a week, 10 days maybe, before it kind of choked them. So take a look at this. Look at that, doesn't even close. You have to pull it tight to get that around them. So if you decide whether it's puppies or lambs or kids, baby goats, and if you choose to put these collars on them, make sure you check them daily because they do grow so fast that it can cause them a lot of discomfort if you don't stay up on how quick they grow. I want to start handling these guys regularly because they're just a bit wild for baby doll sheep. So I like getting them in this position here to get them comfortable with the shearing process. And they haven't been sheared yet. Now these are just 2-year-olds, so these are the first set of lambs for this one and the one that was over there that lost their lamb. Hey, quit. There you go, big fella. Let me get this little lamb. This one's a little bit wilder, but he'll be fine. Hey, buddy. Look at that face. So Mama here, she's a lot smaller than the others, but see that collar is good. Look at how loose that is. I'm going to leave that on her just because I'm a little uncertain about her because she has the lambs and they're about ready to be weaned probably in the next week or 2. You seen they was eating the food pretty well. So there's our newest additions to the farm. See, she gets nervous just coming up here. Good girl. I'm going to keep the collar on her because I may have to tie her up. Or I may have to get a leash on her to move her to different areas because she doesn't come to feed. So before I turn her loose in the field, I've got to get her to where I can catch her. I give away some of my meat rabbits that are already butchered. They always ask me, how do you decide when and which ones you're going to butcher? Oh, look what happens when you forget to shut the gate. Come on. They forgot to come. Let me grab that little bit of feed. You can stop your whining. When I let you out yesterday, you took off. So you're in doggy prison. Get these guys back up. You know, I was just down there. They were all the way on the other side of this field. Goats! I don't want them by those sheep. Hey, the feed's right here. Come on. Let me set this camera down and get them. So sorry about that. If you have goats, you know it's always something. Right, on my next video, I'm going to have to do some things that nobody really likes to do, but this buck has been one of my favorite animals that I've had, maybe not ever, but certainly in recent times. He's just a funny, friendly, and he makes me laugh whenever I come out here. I said, Mama's gone crazy. She didn't attack me, but I've made the decision that I'm going to process all of these rabbits. It's always a tough decision on what you're going to do when it comes time to getting rid of animals that you don't want anymore or that no longer serve a useful purpose. I've been feeding that buck and this doe for about the last, I'm going to say 4 months. It's been about 6 months since she's had a litter of kits, but I haven't processed them. All I've been doing is feeding them with no return on what I do. So in my next video, I'm going to redo this rabbit hutch, and then I'm going to process these last 4 rabbits that I have. And I'll tell you on the next video why I continue to feed them over the last 4 months and the thought process that I use on when to process animals that are no longer of use to you. So if you don't like the idea of watching a video where, animals are processed, don't watch the next video. But if you're interested in what goes into me processing animals that I don't want anymore, be sure to get ready for that next video. It'll be out in about a week or so. Anyhow, as always, thanks for watching.